Matt Duffield from mattduffieldtrading.com, and tonight we are doing a hot penny stock recap on AXPW and RJET. Those were my two favorites of the day, and AXPW is definitely my favorite for tomorrow. There's a lot of penny stocks we could talk about tonight that made some decent gains, but this is the one I think has the best potential for tomorrow. But before we get started, I have to remind you that this video is for informational and educational purposes only. I'm not a registered investment advisor, neither is mattduffieldtrading.com, so please do make your own decisions. Penny stock trading can be very risky. All right, so AXPW, one thing stands out right away. This stock has been spiking in the morning, putting in huge gains right off the bat in the first 10, 20, 30 minutes of trading. And you can see that's what happened today after yesterday's close around $1.88. We got a gap to around $2, and then within 30 minutes, it had tagged $2.77 for the high. So there are great gains that can be made with this stock, and let me show you a couple days out. In yesterday's session, price opened around $2 a share and moved all the way to $3 within 10 minutes, the first 10 minutes of trading. So here's what we have. We had this afternoon spike, 200+% gain, a sell-off, and then the open yesterday could have resulted in a 50% gain for a quick day trade. Another sell-off, and then another big spike this morning, let's say 25-30%, and then consolidation. Now what's different today compared to yesterday and the day before that, in late afternoon trading around 3:10, this got a volume spike right here. You can see 220,000 shares traded. See the volume spike here. And price started to take off. It got all the way up to 240, sold off a bit. It just seemed like some, how do you say it? I don't want to say controlled action, but it felt like this thing wanted to break out but was waiting. Or it could be that news is pending. There could be a news announcement in the morning. It just felt like something was up. So right on this this breakout here, the beginning of the breakout, I bought a nice large position in my IRA around 215. I am holding overnight. It's definitely a scary and risky thing to do, but I have a good feeling about this one. And unfortunately, I made a mistake today. First of all, my swing trade, well, it's an overnight trade on PBMD. I failed to sell that at the morning peak around $1.72, $1.73, and I got caught posting a tweet and forgot about my own account and forgot to sell near the peak. So I ended up taking a loss. I sold at $1.44, 7% loss on that trade. But anyway, when I saw this trade, I was watching AXPW and RJET, and I had the order up on my Schwab account, and I was kind of flipping back and forth, waiting for a breakout in RJET, waiting for a breakout in AXPW. And when I saw this start to break out, unfortunately, I just blew it, and I didn't realize RJET was on my screen. And I placed a trade for RJET. Let me show you that real quick. I hate to jump around, but you can see what I did before we talk about that. I bought it right up here at the peak at 307 by accident. I was watching this because I was waiting for price to break above this 308, 310 resistance level. Obviously didn't happen. I never would have bought this thing. And by the time I realized I placed the wrong trade, it was at $3. And then I saw this panic sell, and I panic sold at 287. Terrible trade. I don't even know what to say about it. Accidents happen. I'll just have to make up for it tomorrow. So going back to AXPW. So I do have an overnight position, like I said. So I'm really hoping this sees yet again another morning spike. We've had one on Tuesday. We had one today on Wednesday. So that seems to be the pattern, but what you got to watch out for is everyone's looking for another morning spike or a gap up, and that could explain the late afternoon activity. Traders trying to jump on board for the morning spike, and sometimes when that happens, trades go the other way. Let me show you what happened to Ford today. Look at a 5-minute 2-day chart. Yesterday, if you remember, this closed up at $1.87. Looked prime for a breakout. Just had to break above this high, and we figured it'd go to $2, maybe $2.20. But we got a surprise gap down. Price opened at $1.77, and it sold off pretty strongly, rebounded, but never showed any positive gain on the day, and then sold off again for the close. So the lesson learned here is, sometimes when all the traders are looking for one specific direction, you get a surprise move to the other side. And I have a great analogy. In baseball, if you got the right-handed slugger who typically drives home runs to left field, or he's a pull hitter, you get situations where the outfielders and infielders shift to the left side because they expect a hit to the left side. And then, it's up to the player to surprise them and drop one into right field, and that happens. And that's what very well could happen with AXPW tomorrow. But let's look at some more technical analysis here. Okay, so what we do have, you have this low down here at $1.66. You have solid support now at, say, $1.90, $2, right in there. I mean, it's been tested a fair amount of times. And with today's break higher, we retested not fully $1.90, but $1.97, and that caused a rebound. So this is setting up higher lows and higher highs. But what is worrisome is that after this huge spike, we got another big spike here. And so far, this one is little, but I want to see what happens in the morning. The way I'm playing this, I'm also going to try to buy in with my individual account first thing in the morning, is to buy in and get the spike, and sell within 10, 20, 30 minutes. And this chart just has the feel, the look that it could see another big spike, and I would say $3 is definitely possible, and this is without news. Let's see what else. So a lot of times with trades like this, you get all prepared. You know what you're going to do in the morning. This chart looks bullish. You plan to buy in at 220, and then it gaps up to 250 and leaves you guessing. Do you chase it? What do you do? And that's a really good possibility for tomorrow morning. If that happens, my playbook is, if it gaps up to 240, 250, I think it'll consolidate and back test maybe 220 or 230, and then set up for that morning spike situation where, if it gaps up to 240, retraces down to 230, 220, and then rallies back up and takes out the opening, not the opening, but the high that's put in within the first couple minutes of trading. That's when you'll get that super spike up to $3. Who knows? It could go even higher. And one more thing I want to show you with this stock. If you go out to the daily chart, I was looking at this 3-day pattern, and I thought, man, that looks familiar. I know it's bullish. And I started digging around some old penny stock trades that I've made this year, and I realized Gene had a very similar pattern. Let's see, if you go back about 8 months. This was one of the big biotech super spikes of the year, or one of the first. I mean, this was back in February when that happened. So look at this. January 29th, you've got that initial push higher. The next day you get a down day, and it's I can't even think of the candlestick pattern at the moment. Almost a gravestone doji. And I'm sorry, inverted hammer. Another down day. And then this up session right here, like it's a bullish engulfing. And that's what took prices back up to near their initial high, and then there was some consolidation, and then the super spike. So anyway, remember this right here, January 29th, and the next 4 or 5 days, that pattern right there. And when I go back to AXPW, you can see some similarities. All right, here it is. This would compare to January 29th. The first push higher, next day inverted hammer, next candlestick, another green candlestick. The difference is on Gene, it was a bullish engulfing, but I still think this would do. And then if price can rally in the morning, and we're comparing this to Gene, a similar rally would take us to 3 or 330. So I love the risk to reward on this trade. That's why I bought in heavy, and that's why I plan to hopefully buy in the morning for a day trade if I can get in, because it looks like your downside risk is $2. That's a 10% loss. Upside is potentially 50%. So I love this trade for tomorrow. RJET, we can take a quick look at that one too. This is a risky play, but it's definitely seeing some action. Okay, so on the 5-minute chart, this got a gap lower today down to around $2. It rallied to 250, consolidated, got this huge afternoon push from 230 to about 320. And I think this is on, I don't know if it's news or a rumor that the pilots might be able to vote. I honestly, I haven't dug into it like I was doing last week. That rally faded, and then there was a late day push higher, and it got stuck at resistance right there at $3. But I do think this has great potential for a day trade tomorrow, possibly even a swing trade. So if you look at this hollow candlestick, that's normally seen at a bottom. You can see one was made here on August 24th. Next day was a gap higher. But this one is very scary. I mean, the company is potentially facing bankruptcy if they can't find a deal. It seems unlikely that they won't come to a deal with their pilots, but you never know. And obviously, the overnight risk is pretty large. If you look at yesterday when price closed a little over $3, it gapped all the way down nearly 40%. And it could get much worse if, in fact, the company announced bankruptcy. So I do like watching this, and I will trade it if if the indicators get aligned properly. And I would prefer to keep this to a day trade. But what I'll be looking for tomorrow is a break of this high, 309. Let's see what a price target could be. A break of 309 is probably going to cause a quick, spike up to 340, maybe even 350. But the downside risk is there. You see where this was earlier in the day, and currently it's sitting right at resistance. So if this can't break above 3 early on, look out, because it's coming right back to 270. All right, guys, that's all I have for tonight, and best of luck tomorrow.